Hello and welcome to episode 3 of my Planet Coaster tutorial Let's Play series. This episode will be on continuing with paths. So I've got to the bottom of the list over here. The last one was delete. So remember, down here you've got a delete path button. If you left click, it then takes it into delete mode, and you can just simply left click and delete your path. So let's delete that bit there. Okay, or you can hold the delete key, keep it pressed, totally up to you. If you don't want to keep clicking buttons down here, just simply press delete and hold and then delete away. It's always easier to just simply use the keys, which we've been going through here. Right, let's close that. Okay, so carrying on over here, we've done angle snap, we've done the length, we've done the width. Next, let's take a look at the camera. The camera option changes how your camera will move when you make paths. The first one, you can have your camera not affected by the paths as you make them. The second one, you can have the camera follow you as you make your paths. The third one, you can have your camera move to the center of the path you're building. And lastly, you can have the camera center the path you're building and rotate the camera to make it aligned with your path. Okay, let's demonstrate that with the sandstone path. So first of all, I'm going to choose camera moves freely. This means it won't be affected by my path. Each time I click down a path piece, it's not going to affect the camera. So let's do this one because it won't then keep messing around. Okay, so if I left click and do another one, the camera is staying on screen viewing just this bit of the screen, the path here. If I now choose camera will follow, watch what happens and observe. So if I click, you see it's going to follow along with us. The next one is camera will follow and center. So we can always see the next bit to lay the next bit of the path, which is handy. And lastly, we've got camera will follow and rotate. So let's click and you see it turns it around for us. So it's down to you which way you prefer. I normally just keep it in camera will follow. Let's undo. Okay, something I did up here that I wanted to mention when we was talking about the different widths that you can do your pavements, your paths, just to give you an idea. So you can start off normal default width of 4, and you can go to the maximum of 10 and then take it back down to 4. Why would you do that? Well, you could place a bench either side with maybe a bin. So maybe over here you've got your shops selling food and drinks. This is an area for them to sit down in, so they're not blocking the people walking by. Here we've got an example of where you could have a plaza with a load of shops, and on either side, or on one side and on the other side, you could have benches. So there's a reason for making it wider and thinner. Okay, going back, carrying on to here. Next we've got select grid. Builds paths on a 4-meter grid relative to a building or path. Choose an existing building or path piece as a reference. Right, let's explain select grid. Now notice here at my park entrance how this path takes a sharp curve and goes straight down here, and yet this path takes a much broader angle. How is it that I got this short path design, this tight bend? Well, let's delete this path and show you what I'm talking about. Right, okay, by default, if you don't use the select grid, this is what happens. Let's put it to the same one. This is what happens. It will be that wide arc. Do you see that? We can't make it any tighter. Well, we can get it to there. That's as tight as we can get it. Okay, which still... Well, I didn't want to do it all the way around. Let's undo that and show again. So we can get it like that, there, but what I'm saying is we want a tight bend. So that's too wide an arc. If I click the snap to grid and then left click, you have to have at least one path tile placed in order to use this snap to grid. So if I delete that and then click snap to grid, or select grid, see there's no, it won't work because I haven't got a piece placed. So you have to place one piece of path. Okay, let's now get rid of that. Maybe you can right click, you can do all sorts. Okay, so now we click select grid, and now I can place the grid, you see. So I'm going to place the grid down by left clicking. Now what I can do, you've got two options. In this grid you can either have circular paths, round edges, or if we scroll down you can have square edges. So if you click and enable that, now the paths will be square. If I don't click that, the paths will have circular. Now that's important for your corners, deciding on whether you want them to be square or curved. Okay, let's do the square path. So if I left click, that is how you do a tight bend. You see? Now, not using the grid, there's no way you could have got that, especially not square. So this is such an excellent tool, this grid. And what I also want to do is demonstrate it with a building. So one of the rides, let's show you the grid with that as well, because you can use the grid for the paths. So I'll get to that. Right, next, moving on. So that's these options here. Over here we've got advanced settings, so let's left click that. Okay, so now path supports is talking about elevated pathways. So let's make an elevated pathway so this can make sense and I can visually show you what it's talking about. Okay, so if we go back to the black path, if we left click and raise it, you'll see there's elevation. Now if I left click, there we go, that is a path support just there. If I remove this, if I now undo that, now let's do the same again, left click, notice there's no support. That way you'd place in your own supports. Some of you that want to go to 100% customization, you might want to do that. For me, I'm happy just having the game put the supports in, unless the game puts the support somewhere where it's going to be in my way, then I would do the support myself. But for now, I'll have the game just place the supports for me, like so. Okay, the next one, curved slopes. So if I do a slope and I try and move the cursor around, all it's going to do is raise and lower the path. But I want to go around at an angle because I want to reach that path over there. So the way to do that is enable curved slopes. Now, not only can I, when I click on this and raise it, oh, I'm in a bit of a moment here. Okay, well, I can demonstrate it like that, but I wanted to show it going around at an angle. Ah, so right, sorry, having a dumb moment there. Let's go back one and try this again. So for doing a curved slope, you do your curve first, then you raise it. You see? Now if I can turn this around to show you. Yeah, there we go, that's better demonstrated. Right, okay, so there's the first piece. So what you've got to do is first get the angle you want. Let's come up. First you have to get the angle you want, then you can raise or lower. You see? And that's how the curved slopes work. There. And so you can have a steers all the way up to the top of a mountain if you want, and then have some sort of theme up there like a mine or something. I don't know. There we go, I'm getting carried away, going to go into one. Let's remove that. So that's how you do curved slopes. Remember, if you don't do it, then you won't be able to get curves as you're going up, and I'm sure you will want to have some curves on your paths. Okay, next, curb on ground path. So let's zoom in to show this. Okay, if we turn that off, and then if I get this back down by pressing the J key, there we go, get it back to ground level. You notice now when I'm going to do a path, let's go back to this one, or in fact let's just go to the next one along, a rustic gravel, which is here. So I do like this one. Okay, so the curb on the path, if I left click, notice what it's done is it's removed the curb. Next, railing on ground queue. Well, that's when we get to the queues, so that's going to put rails either side of the queues. Railing on elevated, so that's talking about here where we've got an elevated path. If I carry that along one, if I turn it off, oh, that was the wrong one, it's that one I want. Notice, no path. I wouldn't advise that, because I imagine that people might be able to walk off, and especially if you've got a high height. Anyway, moving on, so I'll put that back. Railing on ground path. So, if we go to the path, and if I turn that on, when I click on the ground, it's going to have rails either side. You might want to do that if you've put something down either side which the people might think is a pathway, or you want to block off a pathway, then you can put railings down and that'll stop them walking in them directions. So it's one way to funnel them. By default it's off, of course. Okay, so that's the advanced settings. Next, let's go to natural. So this is natural paths. A natural path that marks your terrain with curb and railings. So let's remove that one and place down the first one of these. So you see it's taken a sandy colour. Because I'm in a desert biome, it's taken the same as texture as that. Then we've got a natural path with curb and railings, which is just slightly different texture. Not that you can see because it's exactly the same as this biome. Next we've got a natural path that marks your terrain with, well, these are all the same but different patterns on them. See? And then lastly this one. Now if we was in a grass biome, you'd see that a lot more clearly. Okay, next we've got queues. Queues are for your rides throughout your theme park. So let's build a ride quickly just to demonstrate this. So if I click on rides, I'm going to go into rides in another episode, but for now let's do Chairplane. And let's place it just there. Okay, let's place an entrance. Place the entrance on that side. And we'll place an exit on that side. Now connect path to entrance, or connect entrance to path. So okay, we just left click, come over here. Now you can use this grid tool for your queues as well. So if I click on that grid, now that I've done one, this is the best way to do your queues for your rides, because what you can do now is do a really sharp angled queue. Remember, I've got it in square at the moment, so I can do a queue which is really tight. Oh, there's the timer already, for goodness sake. I didn't want to make Paths 3 episodes, but it looks like it might well be, because I haven't finished this. Right, I'll end it here and carry on in the next episode, because there's still just a little bit more to show you. It won't be a very long episode, the next one, but I don't want to risk this one being too long, because I know a lot of you don't like long episodes. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.